imagine yourself back at your desk, so back at your workspace. And specifically, I want you to think about the different colours that are surrounding you. So the good news is, for those that just put their hand up then, if you are surrounded by mostly warmer colours, such as these ones up here, you're actually doing yourself some favours in terms of increasing creativity. In general, warm colours make us feel happier. And when we feel happier, a chemical called dopamine is released within our brain, and it's responsible for information flowing more freely around our brain. So that's why warm colours actually help you increase creativity. That shifted from individual idea generation to group idea generation actually produced a lot more ideas and a lot more diverse ideas. Shifting is a technique that you can use in any kind of situation where you've got a group of people and you need them to think creatively. Constraints are actually a really good thing for creativity, which might kind of sound a little counterintuitive. The reason why. So the types of problems that you're solving in your organisations, a lot of them are problems that, you've probably had to solve, at various other points in your career, like, how can we attract more people to our firm? How can we, retain more customers? Those sorts of things. And what happens when we're solving problems that are very familiar for us? Our mind doesn't like to do too much work, so it'll just kind of go down the path of least resistance and come up with a solution that's kind of like something that you might have come up with before. But what happens when you put a constraint in the way, your mind has to work out a way of getting around that constraint and therefore has to think creatively. So I'm not talking about like your normal constraints, like, we don't have much of a budget, but I'm talking about big constraints, like, do a presentation without using PowerPoint, for example. So putting some big constraints in the way of your problem will actually help you think more creatively about it. Thank you. Now, what you may have noticed is some themes starting to come through. So from this side of the room, we're getting things like Chalk Light, Chalk Zero, largely functional names in general, starting to emerge from this side of the room. From this side of the room, more kind of abstract / emotive kind of names like gluttony and freedom and things like that. And if we would have actually collated everybody's results, those themes would have come through a lot more strongly. And there's a reason why. There was quite a big difference in what you came up with, and it was the images that you were exposed to. So why did the side of the room that had the image with the little red X come up with more creative ideas? The reason why this happens is that when our brain sees an image that's around kind of like deviance or originality or standing out, it sends unconscious messages to the brain and it gets us acting in that kind of a way. In contrast, if you're seeing this kind of an image where everything's the same, it sends messages to your brain about blending in and not wanting to stand out, not kind of pushing the boundaries or anything like that. And again, it makes you act in that kind of a way, all unconscious. So we know that if we can expose ourselves to images that are a little bit deviant, are about breaking the rules, about originality, it's as simple as looking at an image for 30 seconds, and that's actually going to help us think more creatively. And it doesn't have to be any more difficult than that.